Hi everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves to Scrap with my newest video, and today I'm joining the Pink Fresh Friday challenge and I'm using some Pink Fresh papers to create this layout. And I have chosen to use this time round the Spring Vibes papers. So I'm using Cherish This and Take Your Time, and there's one other which I can't right at this moment think of what it is, and we'll come back to it maybe if I can remember what one it was, but they're the Pink Fresh papers. I've got my cardstock that I'm using, and I also have the Pink Fresh stickers that I'm going to use on this layout. So we've got Cherish This and Take Your Time, that's the other one. And the other paper is a rainbow effect one from there as well. So these are the papers that I've put together, and their B-sides are very different to the front, and I do use a bit of the B-side for one of the parts of the page. So I cut out my frame first off, and I always use a 1 inch around the outside, and I trim down my base by 1/4 of an inch so that it sits on that frame with support and makes the page quite solid. I tape down 3/4 of it and then place it nice and straight onto the page. From there, I'm cutting out the center part of my page that I'd like to use, and it's a 9 by 9 square. So that's going to sit there in the middle. What I'm doing now is I am tracing around it because I want to use some of that rainbow or the ombre paper as part of the features throughout my layout. So I'm just taking that out, and as you can see, that will sit there nicely. I went ahead and I have mounted my photos with the 2 cardstocks. One is double mounted, the rest are single. I've gone out with my Cricut and cut out diamond shapes from the different papers that are part of this layout, and I'm using the diamonds as a feature under the rectangle or the square in the middle. I'm cutting half of these diamonds in half, and I'm going to overlay them to give another visual effect with the diamonds and create a different interest or perspective to the layout. And the tape I'm using is Express-It tape, and I like Express-It tape, as I've said before, because it doesn't disintegrate and it holds quite nicely and is quite easy to work with. So I'm just mapping out where I want these diamonds to fit, and these are admittedly going to be covered a lot by the square that I'm putting on there, but that's okay. That's all part and parcel of the process. So I'm just going to lay it out and move it out. They're going to be underneath my layout's main feature, which is that beautiful piece of paper there, the Spring Vibes Take Your Time, and it has a whole lot of range of word phrases, and I've also used parts of it to cut out, and I'm going to be putting that into the layout as well, using those word phrases. So I'm just adhering the diamonds into place so that they're sitting against the outer frame, and because I marked where they needed to sit, it's nice and easy. I just line it up with the pencil mark, and that holds it in place, and I know that that's going to be in the right spot. So putting down this piece now, you can see that that page is now solid. I'll lay out my photos and I'll manipulate those around a little bit. As you can see, that photo is just still a little bit too long for me, so I'm just going to trim it down a little bit more, cutting off that excess dead space, the white space of the negative of the photo, and now it will sit so I can fit those two in as separate entities on the page. This one is of my eldest daughter, this one is my middle daughter, and this one is my youngest daughter. These photos were taken in 2019 in January, on the hottest day of January that year, and we actually went into the city for the day, and it was so hot, but we were down in the rocks and they were fooling around in the lovely window frames there, so of course I had to take those photos. And as you can tell just by the way they are, they're very different girls and very different personalities. My youngest being the most outgoing of the lot of them. So I'm using these stickers and thickers from the Spring Fresh collections, and I'm adding those to around my photos. The thickers I'm just building in 3 of them so that you have that triangular effect around the page. I'm using this frame here, and it highlights the little thicker that says today, so it makes you spotlight on that today. I'm going in now and I'm adding in those word phrases that I cut out from the base paper from the what's it called, Take Your Time page, so that it's sitting as part of the layout. I then use my dies to cut out these flowers, and I'm nesting them on top of each other, which is really good when you have a die that has multiple sizes and you can nest appropriately. And I'm building my clusters using these, and so that I have 3 clusters around the page. I'm slotting in the little leaves from the dies, and I am then going to add in some flat back gems crystals to be the centers of the flowers. I've got white ones and pink ones which tie in with the layout, and that finishes off those flowers. Now the clusters are still a little bit flat, so I'm going to take out my punch and I'm going to add some more leaf foliage, and I'm going to tuck those in behind the flowers to build up those clusters and fill them out so that they leach over the top of the flat photos but fill out and look like more natural collections of flowers together, like I've done bouquets. And as you can see, they overlap the photos, which is fine, and that's okay to overlap a photo. It doesn't have to stand alone. It actually can be built into the direction. So I've found a gel pen which is in a goldy bronzy colour, and I'm just going to add in some faux stitching doodling to lift those diamonds. You can see that lifts them off the page without being overbearing. If I'd have gone with a black, that would have stood out too much. So this is a bronzy blacky colour. It's an unusual colour actually, but it's perfect for this layout. The doodling just adds a little different perspective and detail. I've gone in and I've put the girls' names near them so that you can see who they are in the photos, and I'm adding in the date and where we were, so that's my journaling for this layout. I'm now going to do some messy lines to build the border, just to make it stand out a little bit more and finish it off. They're not perfect lines, and that's the whole perfect part of it, is that they are messy lines, and I don't have full lines on the interior of that external line. I'm also going to add in some doodled stitching towards the end of the longer lines, and that just is a little detail that helps finish off. I like making sure that my whole layout all fits together to make it nice and smooth. Alright, so the next part, as always, and anyone that knows me and watches my videos know that I use Nuvo drops, and I always use Nuvo drops to finish it off. It draws a cluster. I always do it in a set of 3. I have 3 clusters, I have 3 Nuvo drops, I have 3 photos. So clusters of 3 are very things that I like to use. Odds, because in nature odds are pleasing to the eye. And there you can see how those clusters have come together. Oh, I need to fix that little gem at the top there. It's a bit out of place, which I do. Or when I put this down, I fix that up. You can see the thickers that I've used, and this is my layout using Pink Fresh for the month of April 2024. And here's my girls. The layout was quite an easy layout to put together. I hope you found something that inspired you. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram, where all my layouts end up and you can have great detailed looks at them. I'm Kathy